Hey folks, this is Daddy Longlegs, and you're watching the Bristol Gig Guide. Cheers.
Depths of the Louisiana, not a place that we've frequented before, with Daddy Longlegs, all the way from Brooklyn, United States of America, via France, I believe, yesterday.
And Holland.
And Holland as well.
Everywhere.
How you doing, guys?
Scotland.
We're good.
All good. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Josh Styles, Le Batterie.
Brian Hurd, also known as Daddy Longlegs, blues harmonica, vocals, and guitar.
And I'm Marat, and I play the guitar.
Yes, you do. And not your first time in Louisiana, not your first time to Bristol. So a city that you frequented before. Louisiana fits really well with your style, though. It kind of beds in quite well. Sold out show as well tonight, guys. So there's a big resurgence for sort of blues and rock and country in Bristol. So I'm glad you can come over and be a part of that. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but you guys have got a kind of strange link to this city. Any idea what that would be?
Do we? We played here before.
Yeah, you played here before. So, if you were to frequent a part of town on a Saturday afternoon...
Are you going to tell us you found one of our real parents or something?
Yeah. With the genealogy in the city, I make it happen. No, but so something that you're familiar with is obviously, and a massive influence on you guys, was Leadbelly.
Sure.
Now, if you go to one of the two main soccer teams or football teams in this country or in this city on a Saturday afternoon, Bristol Rovers, you would hear about 9,500 people every Saturday bellowing at the top of their lungs, "Goodnight, Irene."
That's right.
Yeah. So that's the link with you guys into the city. So it's Leadbelly's. Yeah, Terror Stomper. It is indeed. It's been echoed up and down the country. You guys are on tour in the UK at the moment, but I believe you've just come back from France and Holland. Is that correct?
That is true.
Okay, but were you in the UK prior to that?
And Scotland.
And Scott, it's hard to keep track because you
We
seem
started
like
a tour there and then went to mainland Europe and back. We're
you're permanently on the road.
on tour forever.
Yeah, it just seems, and not just for this tour, but it just seems that you are a touring band that are just constantly out there. Does that
Citizens
ever?
of the world.
Does that become a grind? Is that something that do you still enjoy it, or is that something that really wears you down towards the end of the tour?
We want to do it.
Yeah, it's the only life we really know. Some people might see it as a prison sentence. 6 months on the road ain't no time. We're doing one.
Yeah, it's something to enjoy. So if you had the choice between sort of cooping yourselves up in Chicago in a recording studio and making the music, or being out in the depths of Holland and Utrecht or something where playing live, which would you guys tend to prefer?
Both. I mean, you need both to enjoy the other one. Really.
Yeah, they balance each other out.
Yeah, I love the recording process too, but I love being in a
I mean, the road gets tiring, and then once you're off it though for a bit, you kind of miss it.
Being off is not the time that I like. That's at least
the downside.
Time.
Yeah.
We also like to do lots of other things on the road besides play. We all like collect records and
Okay.
old books and magazines.
Catch up with old pals and
do a lot of treasure hunting.
I suppose for a band that is on the road as much as you guys are, it's kind of like port in every storm. You know people all over the place, so it's a great time to catch up. Yeah,
it's amazing. We have people coming out of the woodwork every city we go to. It's like, it's nice.
In terms of your reputation, it's kind of built anyway on the live shows, isn't it? You guys have got a firecracker reputation for really putting it out there and bringing the party to sort of a town. Is that something though with energy levels that you kind of need to try and or struggle to maintain, or is that easy with the sort of music you play and with the crowds that you sort of get?
Honestly, the power source is the people.
It is, okay.
No matter how hungover or wiped out or tired we are from how many gigs we've already put in, if we get there and they're giving it out, we're going to give it back 100%. That's just...
And I suppose literally with the type of music that you guys play, you can't really help but stomp your feet and everything to it anyway, so it's quite easy for the crowd to pick up on the energy and the vibe.
Yeah, I mean, like we've gotten nasty flu-like colds and stuff on tour and all that horrible shit that could go down, and once you hit the stage, it kind of goes out the window for an hour or so. You're up there.
Die tomorrow morning instead.
Then get off stage and feel like shit again. But when you're up there, it's
yeah, and you still get the same buzz that you ever did.
Yeah,
man.
Because I believe for Daddy Longlegs, anyway, you guys it wasn't an accident how you came together, but it was kind of a fun project or a side project rather than the sort of serious things that you were doing with other bands at the time.
Yeah. And I think like all our other bands were falling apart at the same time, and our other musical comrades at the time were all sort of disillusioned and giving up through lack of success, and we were just like, we're not fucking done yet, and let's all just start doing something together.
Yeah, and we're still here.
And it's still here, yeah. So was it 2012 that you guys came together originally, or was it earlier than that?
Maybe earlier. It's
A
kind
little
of
earlier,
earlier.
2010, I think, is when we officially formed the band. Our first album came out in 2012.
Yeah, it's a
we've
fair...
basically been on the road since 2013.
A fair bit of longevity. Your air miles must be amazing by now.
We haven't killed each other yet.
Yeah, we're still alive and we like each other.
Now, obviously, the reason you were on tour this particular time is Lowdown Ways, the new album. As I say, it seems for me it's my favourite of the work that you've done so far. It's a real sort of foot stomping, slamming the steering wheel kind of album. It seems like you guys had fun putting this one together. So rather than sort of going through the musical things of we need to put an album out, it just seems like there's a lot of enjoyment behind the songs on this record. Is that fair to say?
It is true. I think like our live show is like a celebratory thing. The lives that we kind of live outside of the band is, we've just been on the quest for good time rock and roll and rhythm and blues, and like it's taken us this band is really a journey figuring out who we are as a band, and I think as we go on in time, like that picture just becomes more and more clear, and that's what Lowdown Ways kind of represents. And we'll see what happens on the next record.
I was describing it to somebody, one of my friends today, actually, and the only way I could describe it was kind of, once you finish the album, it feels like you've had kind of an exorcism from an evangelical speaker and it's just shaking all the blues out of you. Is that much of a sort of lasting effect on the album, which is testament to the sound you guys have put through there.
Working.
And there's a huge range of sounds on this album as well. I mean, you guys are quite diverse in everything that you pull into a record anyway, but you can easily pick out there's some roots, there's some proper old school rock and roll, there's some blues, even like with Pink Lemonade, some sort of, there's almost an 80s vibe to it. There's some sort of synth and things like that.
It's a lot of what you're talking about happened because it was probably the first record we recorded where we didn't kind of just go in and bang out our live set from the time. We actually had the luxury of a little bit more time to explore the studio and get a little more creative with the actual recording process. So I think that is reflected in the diversity of sounds on there.
Does that make it easier when you're putting a record together that you have that many influences and different kind of sounds and genres to pull on to sort of bring things together?
No, because I mean, if you don't have the inspiration to write the songs, you don't have shit. I mean, if we have the songs, coming out, we just take those and they kind of write themselves as far as like what goes on in the studio in a lot of ways. But it wasn't as rigid as like we have our set. We're gonna record our live set this time. We actually did a lot more sort of like tweaking and stuff in the studio. So I think that's why it's a little bit more of a cohesive.
I think we just pull from like a wide range of different influences. We're each of us into all kinds of different stuff, and I think the goal with Lowdown Ways was to make a Daddy Longlegs record, not make a blues record or make a garage punk record or a rock and roll record. Make a Daddy Long Legs record. Like, and that's what we're after.
This feels like you've really put your own stamp on this album. Then, does it? Is there any personal favourites that you each have on the record?
Sure.
And any reasons?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess for me it would be Winter Circle. It's because I love the pub rock and high energy rock and roll of that one. It's kind of a highlight for me for sure.
For me, it's like Theme from Daddy Long Legs. Like, that was written on the spot in the studio. That song just came together.
That's true.
In the moment, it was written on the spot. The lyrics, everything, it just kind of manifested out of nothing. And that for me was a really cool experience rather than like laboring over a track.
Okay.
Me? Well, I like Theme too, just because it was just so spontaneous in the studio. But I don't know, one that hasn't been mentioned, I guess Backdoor Fool, because I'm a romantic and I love the piano playing on that. With Scott from NRBQ playing on it, was incredible.
2020, how's it going to pan out? What's in the pipeline for you guys?
New things.
New record.
Yeah, after this tour, we're going back to writing, and we're already planning on getting back in the studio this summer. I'm planning another record for early 2021, as long as we can stick to the timeline. There's a lot of dates.
So stay tuned.
Touring U.S. and Canada in April.
Yeah, so we're basically on the road in the meantime, and yeah.
Festivals planned for the summer at all? Yeah? Back home or over in Europe?
Maybe
Back home,
yeah.
we're going to be in Clarksdale, Mississippi, playing the Goat Festival there, which is like a
Goat Festival?
Yeah.
Okay, a festival of goats, or that's just...
It's all wild. It's all wild roots and blues and hill country stuff.
Awesome.
So that's going on, and then in August we're doing a boat cruise between Barcelona and Italy, and
Oh, wow.
And, yeah. That'll be
It's
nice.
a tough job, but someone has
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you know, thank you for suffering for your art, guys. It's
Hard to
really
say
cool
the
of you.
word sometimes.
goes to the grindstone.
And we always finish off with a couple of randoms. So individually, we've got one for each of you. So Brian, if you could be invisible or teleport, what would you go for?
I suppose I'd teleport.
I think I'll go for that one as well, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can teleport, you don't need to be invisible.
If I could teleport right now, I'd teleport to St. Louis, Missouri
Okay.
to see my mom and dad and have some of my mom's home cooking.
There you go. Yeah, so even far away from home, you're still yearning for the home cooking. Murat, so who out of the three of you guys do you think would survive longest on a desert island?
Oh, man. You know, maybe Josh Styles. I mean,
He's the most
Survivor,
resourceful.
yeah.
Yeah.
He can build things, and he's like a Keith Richards kind of character. You know what I mean?
Would you do
He's
you,
gonna-
do
it's
you
gonna
agree
be-
with that, Josh?
It's going to be him,
I'm
Keith,
flattered.
and some
Thank you,
cockroaches at the end of the world. But you know,
And last one for Josh. If you could live in any era in US history,
In U.S. history.
what would you go for and why?
Shit. I guess I'd have to go with the 70s just because I'm obsessed with Grindhouse films and 42nd Street and
that's a good show.
CBGBs and Son of Sam and all that good stuff.
That's a really good shout, actually. Guys, listen, have a great show tonight. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your tour. It's really great honour having you back over in Bristol.
cheers, thank you.
And safe travels. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Cheers, man.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Bristol with a Daddy Long Legs. Can y'all make some noise for us?